Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ted here with Butters and Wicks. Like I always say, it's your favorite smart money podcast. Yes, your favorite one, probably the only one, to be honest, in regards to crypto, anyway. Um, and what I wanted to do today, I did one earlier about the basics of how to place a futures trade if you don't know how to place a futures trade. Because a lot of people, they hear what I'm talking about, but they may not exactly know what they're doing. As far as going short. And if you don't know how to go short, then that's kind of half the battle of this. Otherwise, you're just waiting for, a spot that I'm, calling long on, and you're just, buying assets at that point and hope it goes up. So, um, so that's what I kind of did earlier. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up on the last video that I did was I think is on Monero. I'm doing a follow up on that probably 24 to 48 hours later. Um, and just to show you exactly where we are and where I think we are going, and I still think we're going kind of in that same direction, to be honest. So, uh, what we should do is we should go on over and head on over to the chart, shall we? All right. So, um, I am on the daily here, and I'm looking at it going all the way back to July, whenever it was first going up. And I was warning about this, about how it could break the trend line. Of course, you've heard all about this. It did. And we are now back into a consolidation point, back where there was a daily fair value gap, right? So it has now mitigated the fair value gap, meaning that it has, went up through the fair value gap one way, uh, made sure that all of the imbalances have been balanced now. And then coming back the other way, coming down, all those imbalances have been balanced now. So now it has been mitigated, and technically, I can probably, I mean, I could get rid of this brown box on here, um, but I just kind of leave it on there just to give everybody a reference point as to where and as to why um, it did come back to where it did. So, uh, earlier, yesterday morning, or this morning, I should say, it is what, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, I want to say right now. What time is it? It doesn't really tell me the time since I'm on today, but yeah, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it looks like this happened to all the markets. All the markets fell very, very rapidly in the morning, and then bounced back, right? Um, and what that did with Ethereum is, for one, it gave it almost an equal low, to what happened back in September 22nd, and also another equal low that happened back on July 22nd. So now we have basically three equal low points, on the charts here. Uh, Most people consider that a safe support level. Considering just above that, you also have points of what people would consider resistance. So you can kind of see this line, um, going almost straight across right here, as to what most would most would consider, support and resistance. I do not see it that way. Smart money does not see it that way. Okay. Um, I'm also using this new indicator I have found called the Williams VIX Fix down here at the bottom. Anything Larry Williams that somebody has created based on his mathematical genius, I usually try to follow and see if it works. And so far, I like it. Primarily because it's supposed to find the bottoms of the market, and as you can see, right through here, it's showing a bottom here. Right through here, it's showing a bottom here. But guess what? Whenever it fell here, it's not showing a bottom, which tells me that this is actually a pretty decent indicator. It's not just following, hey, just because price dropped, that it means that, it's the bottom of the market, which means there's more to it than just that. So that's why I do like this indicator. Um, Now, what I do think what did happen is that after it fell, we can probably even get in closer on maybe the 4 hour here. Yeah, maybe the 4 hour will show that, it may have been closer toward a bottom of the market, but not so much on a daily. If you're looking at a 4 hour chart, yeah, I can kind of see that compared to other 4 hours, but not to dailies, not to larger time frames, not to what I look at. The if you're looking at larger time frames and whatnot. So here on the 4 hour, what you can see is that it did drop below these lows right here. So that would have been a liquidity point. So it did drop below there, enter the liquidity point, probably releasing liquidity into the market. So people that had buy limits set around this area, or even possibly sell stops. If you had sell stops in these area trying to catch a breakout, I'm sorry, you got had. As it turned around and went back up the other way. Probably most people had buy stops sitting around there thinking it was um, you know, uh, an easy area for you to buy into as the market starts to pick up. Unfortunately, the way I see this is that that's a trick. That's a trick by smart money. Smart money will then bring it up, and on the daily, what I saw was this right here, right? I think on the daily that was your last up movement before your next down movement that closed below it, which would be this red candle right here. Um, you can see it kind of highlighted on the it's your October 22nd, or sorry, I say Sunday, October 9th, around the 1500 mark. Um, and then as it crept lower and it came back up, and it crept lower and came back up, there's probably another line right through here, actually. Um, and I can probably delete that line and just create a brand new one. Probably more something along the lines of that, along the lines of those measures. Because as you can see, the bullish candle that has appeared within, uh, or that has opened right at about that 4 hour mark, or at about that mark I just put on the chart, and it came up and it touched just about that same bearish order block, which is what that is called, the daily bearish order block. And then it has now started to retreat. So my fear is not my fear, but my analysis, I should say, is that since you have equal lows here, since you have somewhat equal lows here, or what we call fairly equal lows here, here, and also going back to the July level back in here, but also it being that uh, you know almost crossover support level. Everybody's seeing this as a uh, you know a safe level to where you can buy, right? And what I think is eventually going to happen is that now that we have, oops, didn't mean to move that. Now that we have this in play, that this will definitely start to drift down again toward this area, creating another sensationalistic buy opportunity for people, right? And then what more than likely is going to happen, and I will try to draw this as a path. Of course, you will see this starts to drift down and then get closer to here, probably bounce up, and then once it bounces up, it will probably hit the probably this line that I'm looking at right now, because that is the bottom of the bodies of these candles that happened today, and that's where most of the volume came in. As you can see, just looking down here, that is where most of the volume came in. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Go back over here. All right, so probably pull back down, get close to here, get people to start buying in, and then it'll probably start moving up, and then people will just relax, think they're safe, and then all of a sudden it will shoot down below this level, taking everybody by surprise, possibly touching this level here. And the reason I say this level here is because that is the on the daily, it is a bullish order block, right? So that would mean that would be your the beginning of the uh, the down push, I guess you could say, before um, the bullishness comes up and breaks the structure and closes above it, right? So that would be the beginning of the um, the sell off, right? So it could get down to there, and then once it gets down to there, it could turn around and pick back up, and then people would expect it to stop right here and then drop again. But instead, of course, smart money knows that people would think that it would start selling right there. So instead, it would probably drive up a little bit higher. Now, this time, it would probably drive up a little bit higher than where it was before when it started selling, giving people a little bit more hope that it's actually going to, you know, uh, start buying more, or start start a more bullish run, I should say, on the chart. So, and that could be somewhere around the 140 level, maybe, uh, just an example. And as it gets there, that's when people start feeling more comfortable because it did break the previous high, or the previous swing high, I guess you could say, and now they're starting to feel more comfortable. They start putting more buys in, and then that's when it takes a turn for the worst. Now, there's a couple different levels I think it could get to, right? This being one of them, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and end it there and then pull this over. And the reason I think that would be one of the levels, if we went back to the daily, that would be I think it's the last daily, yes, the last daily bearish candle, right? Before it does the drop off and then come back up. So that will be considered the breaker, basically, right? So, and breaker would be considered kind of more of a um, uh, more of a support resistance type level, right? Not instead of a hey, here's equal highs, here's equal lows. Instead, it's more of a hey, here's a candle, and this is where the volume is, for this particular type of situation for institutional investors to look at. And they would look at that and say, okay, now this might be my area to, um, you know, for my support, or it could be the level for um, uh, uh, not only support, but it could be resistance as well. Meaning that it could hit there, it could bounce up, and then drop even lower, getting below this low point. Now, this is where liquidity would lie, right? This is where a lot of people would also have buy limits set, thinking that, okay, well, if it's going to get lower than that, then here is where it would probably get, because this is the nearest low point. Why wouldn't it buy here? This would be a safe level. Uh, and then it would probably eventually get below that, and then probably more than likely consolidate around this area, and then maybe even drop a little bit lower, and then come back up to the same level, right? And when I say come back up